A new at 11 tonight, a postal worker fighting for his life after a fight at an after-school pep rally spirals into chaos.
And New England residents already feeling the effects of Hurricane Lee as it continues its trek toward the northeast coast.
Plus, auto workers now striking at America's big three manufacturers to look at what they're fighting for and how it could all affect you.
NBC 12 News starts with breaking news.
And that breaking news is out of Henrico County tonight, where police are investigating a series of fights at Highland Springs High School that led to a postal worker being transported to the hospital.
Police say this all happened after a school pep rally. John Hood is live now with how this all unfolded. John?
Yeah, Kurt McKee. Well, Highland Springs had a home game tonight, and like you said, police say this all happened after a school pep rally. One of those fights happened in a shopping center behind the high school where an SUV plowed through a USPS van.
A U.S. Postal Service worker is fighting for his life after chaos ensued in the Shoppers Value Shopping Center Friday evening. Police say this all started with a fight at Highland Springs High School after a school pep rally. Police tell us to end the fight involving multiple students, a school resource officer deployed pepper spray. 2 students were hurt from the fight and were seen by the school nurse. Shortly after, other fights broke out around the school, including at the Shoppers Value Shopping Center. Police then responded to a crash at the same location where an SUV sped through the parking lot and hit a USPS van, turning it on its side and ejecting the mail carrier. The postal worker was taken to the hospital with life-threatening injuries, and 2 juveniles were also hurt. The driver of the SUV has been charged with reckless driving, and she is scheduled to appear in court in the next few days, with other charges possibly pending. Henrico police are also working with the school division in regards to the fight on campus. Police also say charges are pending for those involved.
Now, if you know anything about this crash or those fights, please give Crime Solvers a call at 804-780-1000. On your side tonight, John Hood, NBC 12 News.
My goodness. All right. Thank you, John. Tonight, Chesterfield police need your help in finding a missing boy. Please take a moment to look at your screen. This is 12-year-old Braden Feltz. He was last seen leaving his home on Heather Hill Drive today. Police say he was wearing black and camouflage shorts and a black or gray tank top. Feltz suffers from a cognitive disorder and should not be approached. If you see him, please call police. Well, people in New England preparing for the worst tonight as Hurricane Lee approaches the northeastern shores of the U.S.
Meteorologist Megan Wise is joining us. And Meg, are people there in New England seeing any impact from Lee yet?
They are. The cloud cover has been with them all day today, starting to see the rain just about heading towards them now. They'll definitely start to see the rain overnight, and some coastal flooding is going to be a concern, as well as tropical storm force winds as well. Hurricane conditions are going to be filled up towards portions of Canada. Still a Category 1 hurricane, 80-mile-per-hour winds, and it's moving pretty quickly to the north-northeast now at 20 miles per hour. Not weakening a whole lot through the overnight. Still a 75-mile-per-hour storm by early tomorrow morning, and then making landfall. Nova Scotia, portions of Canada really going to feel this storm as we go throughout the weekend. Then it really makes a hard turn towards the northeast as we go into the end of the weekend, but moving pretty quickly. You can still see all the alerts in place here. The blue color you see here are the tropical storm warnings. They stretch from Massachusetts all the way up towards Maine, and this is where we're looking at big waves, very strong winds, and also that potential for some flooding as we go through the weekend. Around here tonight, feels like fall. Clear skies, low humidity, and we have dry air in place. So that is going to allow our temperatures to continue to drop during the overnight. This is where we stand right now. 52 in Louisa. We're at 54 degrees in Farmville, 53 in Petersburg, Tappahannock also in the low 50s. We do have a beautiful day in store for us tomorrow. I'll show you that forecast and also the hour by hour on Sunday's rain chance coming up here in just a little bit. Kurt.
All right, we'll check back. Thank you, Meg. Libyan authorities evacuating people from the city of Derna tonight as crews continue the search for possible survivors. More than 11,000 people are believed dead after record flooding hit that country. Authorities warning of a potential disease outbreak now, which could claim even more lives. Relief efforts have been slowed after several bridges connecting to that city were destroyed.
A man accused of pointing a gun at a driver on I-64 is now facing another charge for the same thing. This photo here appears to show 58-year-old Eugene Trujillo brandishing the gun while driving on the highway in Newport News. But now he's accused of doing the same thing in Virginia Beach later that day. Authorities arrested Trujillo earlier this week. He's also facing other charges, including assault and reckless driving. And a former prospective student is suing VMI over an alleged sexual assault. The plaintiff, identified as Jane Doe, claims a cadet assaulted her during a 2021 overnight open house at the Institute when she was just in high school. The lawsuit alleges VMI failed to maintain a safe campus and says that the way the school handled the case left Jane Doe with economic and emotional damage. VMI has not commented publicly on the case.
Tonight, authorities looking for a man accused of sexually assaulting a Chippenham hospital employee. Police say that man is in this photo. They say he assaulted a female employee riding an elevator at the hospital back on September 1st. They say the suspect got off the elevator, walked out of the hospital, and may have jumped on a GRTC bus. Authorities are worried he might strike again. If you've seen this man, please contact the Major Crimes Detective. That number 804-646-3930.
Leaders of the United Auto Workers Union plan to sit down again with the big three automakers tomorrow after about 9% of the union's members went on strike today. Before the strike began, Anderson Economic Group estimated it could cost the economy more than $5 billion in just 10 days. Emily Schmidt shows what that could mean if you're in the market for a vehicle or even a repair.
When strike talks between the UAW and Big Three automakers failed to reach a deal before Thursday's 11:59 deadline, the first 12,700 union members walked off the job. The first time a strike against all three unionized companies has ever happened at once, and that means uncertainty about what comes next.
Have I lost sleep already? Yeah, I've lost a couple days. I lost some hours. There's no doubt about it.
Uncertainty for union members, companies, the markets, which started and ended the day slightly lower, and uncertainty.
I will definitely admit that I'm nervous about it.
For those who sell the vehicles which aren't being made or which could stop being made.
This is more or less a just-in-time business. We've got between 30 and 45 day supply on new car inventory and about the same on parts.
For consumers, dealerships will stay open. They're independent franchises and not owned by the companies whose vehicles they sell. Not all production will stop immediately. And not all automakers are on strike. Companies like Toyota, BMW, and Tesla are still making vehicles in the U.S. But if the big three supply runs low, you could wait longer for a vehicle or parts, and prices could go up. Plenty of uncertainties, all hinging on how long it takes the two sides to get a deal and get back to work. I'm Emily Schmidt reporting.
And before President Biden left the White House today, he gave his take on the UAW strike. The president called on manufacturers to go further in their offers to the auto workers and echoed the UAW's claim that the companies are hogging record profits for top management. The White House is sending two officials to Detroit to support the negotiations, but right now the union and the company both far apart.
Unions raise standards across the workplaces and entire industries, pushing up wages and strengthening benefits for everyone. That's why strong unions are critical to a growing economy and growing it from the middle out, the bottom up, not the top down.
Workers want a 40% raise over 4 years. The best offer to come from an automaker so far is about half that.
Former President Donald Trump is also giving his take on the strike in an exclusive interview with Kristen Welker. The new moderator of Meet the Press spoke with the ex-president and 2024 candidate ahead of her premiere this Sunday.
Let's talk about the economy. And I want to start by talking about this big standoff between the auto workers and the big three auto manufacturers. Yeah. My question for you, Mr. President, whose side are you on in this?
I'm on the side of making our country great. The auto workers are not going to have any jobs when you come right down to it, because if you take a look at what they're doing with electric cars are going to be made in China. The auto workers are not going to have any. I'll tell you what. The auto workers are being sold down the river by their leadership, and their leadership should endorse Trump. The reason is you got to have choice. Like in school, I want school choice. I also want choice for cars. If somebody wants gasoline, if somebody wants all electric, they can do whatever they want. But they're destroying the consumer, and they're destroying the auto workers. The auto workers will not have any jobs, Kristen, because all of these cars are going to be made in China. The electric cars automatically are going to be made in China.
So let's talk about UAW's leadership. The president, Sean Fain, has withheld his endorsement of President Biden, but this is what he had to say about you. Quote, another Donald Trump presidency would be a disaster. How would you win that endorsement?
Well, if that's the case, I probably won't win his. I don't know the gentleman, but I know his name very well. And I think he's not doing a good job in representing his union, because he's not going to have a union in 3 years from now. Those jobs are all going to be gone because all of those electric cars are going to be made in China.
And you can watch a full interview with former President Donald Trump this Sunday at 10 a.m. right here on NBC 12. It is also worth noting that the same invitation to sit down with Kristen has been extended to President Biden. Next Tuesday, our very own Rachel DePompa will be traveling to D.C. to speak with Kristen about her new historic role. You can look for that interview next week.
From the food on your table to the gas in your tank, America's farmers have a lot to offer. But coming up, find out why it's harder and harder for them to keep themselves afloat.
And the battle over a casino in Richmond is heating up ahead of November's election, with the start of early voting just a week away. Meg?
It feels like fall tonight, and we have a beautiful day in store for us tomorrow. I'll show you what the weekend forecast entails coming up here after the break.